Good morning. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. I want to talk to you today about PREC, Personal Real Estate Corporation. When it was first allowed under the Act, I did a video on it and I explained how to set it up, and in fact I gave you a template of the agreement that's necessary to be signed between the brokerage and yourself as an agent. But there's been more questions and some confusion about PREC, how to use them. Most recently I got a phone call from an agent and he said, I'm just wondering what to do here. I want to invest money that I've got in my personal real estate corporation, and I understand I cannot invest in real estate. I want to be able to clear that up. Let me go back a little bit in terms of background about personal real estate corporations. For years and years, realtors were not allowed to incorporate. Other disciplines could, lawyers could, accountants could, but realtors couldn't. The problem wasn't with Revenue Canada. Revenue Canada didn't fundamentally have a problem with it. The problem was with the Real Estate Council of Ontario and the Real Estate and Business Brokers Act. You see, the Act said that the only person that I as a broker could pay is a registrant. If somebody for compensation, gain or reward, or hope or promise thereof, was trading in real estate, they had to be registered. And because a corporation was not registered, they couldn't be paid. So once the agent became incorporated, RICO took the position that they couldn't get paid. Well, now they're modifying the Act, the 2002 Act, and they've made some specific changes to allow a broker to pay an incorporated realtor. Of course, there is an agreement that has to be set up between the salesperson and the brokerage to allow that. Prior to that, we had set up sub-corporations. We set up a real estate company within a company, kind of. As far as RICO was concerned, it was a separate real estate entity with an agreement in place that would allow us to perform management functions for them. And we've got 4 or 5 brokerages, sub-brokerages within our company or under our company, and that gave them the ability to enjoy getting paid into a corporation, but it also gave them other certain benefits. It allowed them to, if they were running a team, to pay their team members through their corporation because they were incorporated to trade in real estate and the salespeople were working specifically for them. It's important to understand under the PREC, no such provision is in place. They're very specific about this. When you have a PREC, you have to be the sole shareholder of that PREC, and you are not allowed to pay a salesperson out of that. In other words, you can't run a team from that and pay your agents through the PREC. And I think there's a lot of confusion, and some salespeople were getting misinformation from their accountants because the accountants understood the Revenue Canada provisions. They didn't understand the RICO provisions. And bear in mind, there are 2 specific provisions that we're under with the PREC. We're under the Revenue Canada provision, we're under the RICO provision. So what is the purpose of a PREC? Why do we have one? Well, because, and it only works if you have surplus income. If you have income over and above what you need to live, that surplus income, it's really important that you invest it. But you want to invest it after tax with a little minimal amount of tax that you can get away with. And a PREC allows you to defer a lot of the tax. Let me explain. As an individual, let's suppose, I don't care if it's 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, you amass $200,000 in surplus income. Now, as an individual earning large money, your marginal tax bracket's going to be around 53%. That means that your income tax on the $200,000 is going to be $106,000, which is going to leave you $94,000 to invest. And if you're buying a property, an investment property with 20% down, that means you can buy a property that's worth $470,000. That's the available cash. Now let's compare that to earning within a PREC. If you're operating within a PREC, that's $200,000 in surplus income is subject to about 12.5%, about $25,000 in tax. That leaves you $175,000 in available after-tax income to invest. And if you put, again, the 80% down, now you can go with a mortgage or you can buy a property of about $875,000. So $875,000 as opposed to $470,000 because you're doing it by use of your PREC. Now, what do you do with the PREC? I'm going to tell you, and some of this is practicality. Bear in mind that RICO is very specific about what you can and can't do. You're the sole shareholder. What you need to do is you need to set up a numbered company or a named company, it doesn't matter, as an investment company. And it's important that you're the sole shareholder of this company as well. I'll tell you why in a minute. Now you are going to take the money that's sitting in your real estate corporation and you're going to lend it to your investment company. There's provisions within Revenue Canada's Act that two related companies, where you're the sole shareholder in each company, the one company can lend the other company money without any specific repayment plans and without charging any interest. And so if you've got $175,000 in your PREC, you take that $175,000 and you drop it into your numbered company, and then you buy the property in the numbered company. And as you continue to accumulate money in your PREC, you take the money out of the PREC, you lend it to the numbered company buys the property, and because you've got a lot more after-tax dollar sheltered in the PREC, you've got more money to buy more property. Now bear in mind the property is owned by the numbered company, not you personally. I want to point out that the numbered company, not because it's a numbered company, but because it's passive income as rental income, you're going to be at the maximum tax bracket for the income you make from the rent. There's no shelter provision. So don't feel like because you're taking it out of the PREC, putting it in the numbered company, that you're paying a higher tax. You're not. But you're going to be paying the higher tax because it's no longer active income, it's passive income. Now, there's another reason, quite apart from the fact that you've got to keep the PREC pure as far as RICO is concerned, there's another reason why you want to separate the ownership of the property into a numbered company as opposed to into your PREC. And that is, at some point in time, you're going to want to slow down or retire. And when you slow down or retire, you're not going to need the PREC any longer. If you slow down, you're going to be using the money in the PREC to live on. There isn't going to be a surplus, so why spend the money for accounting fees and legal fees and so on an annual basis? Or if you decide to retire and you've got a very active business at that point, you may want to sell your book of business. You may even be able to transfer the concept of your PREC. Either way, you don't want it to interfere with the investment that you have in your investment property. So you close down the PREC and you keep the numbered company and you live on the passive income that's coming from the numbered company holding the investment property. I hope that makes sense. Once you're flowing with it, you'll find the tax advantage makes a big difference in accumulating down payment and building wealth through real estate accumulation. Thank you very much for joining me in this video. I look forward to talking to you again next week.